Prime Minister Carney kind of made a face when you said it was the greatest ad ever.
It was.
You know what? I think these two make a good
I'll
team.
maybe get
You've
him
got
to
the
weigh on that
calm,
as well, but by
educated,
not
smart
backing down, are you
economist
putting
and
your
businessman who has all the ideas. And then you have the bulldog ready to rush in and fight. The two of them together, I think, work pretty well. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Behind me is a picture of Flower Pot Island in Georgian Bay, shared by Joseph in the I Choose Canada group. Look at those clouds. It looks like menacing clouds on the horizon. And I chose this picture specifically for that. Speaking of menacing clouds on the horizon, U.S. Trade Representative fires opening salvo in review of Canada-U.S.-Mexico deal. And he made those comments in a statement this week to a congressional committee. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said Americans have concerns about access to Canada's dairy market and Canada's export of certain dairy products. Greer also pointed to the effect of Canada's Online Streaming Act and Online News Act on U.S. digital service providers, as well as procurement measures in Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia. He also cited concerns about the provincial bans on the distribution of American alcohol that came in response to a barrage of U.S. tariffs on Canada. So this is the guy here, Jamieson Greer. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. And he works directly for the U.S. president as the U.S.'s top trade negotiator. Now, why are these comments important? He made them in front of a congressional committee, and he's basically laying out what U.S. demands are in the upcoming renegotiation of CUSMA. And I got to say right away to the United States, is that all you got? Really? You're worried about access to our dairy, eggs, and milk? We got a lot of milk. We got a lot of eggs. We don't need your eggs. We don't need your milk. You're worried about us not buying your alcohol, the boycott on alcohol? Well, that's us choosing not to buy it. You're worried about the digital service tax? Well, we've paused that tax while we were negotiating with you recently, but I don't see any reason why we might not want to re-implement that. So those are your demands? This is the official United States website, government site, where they give you biographies and talk about their key officials. This guy here, Jamieson Greer. Now, let me read you his sort of job description, just to give you a flavor of, even in the job descriptions now, the rhetoric is, they're all about fighting, and fighting. As a key member of the president's cabinet, Ambassador Greer has made it a priority to put America first on trade by combating is another word for fighting, by fighting unfair trade practices, expanding market access to made in America products. He is the guy that has to fight with other countries, including Canada, to expand market access for made in America products. So you want to fight, do you? And the response from our Prime Minister was, in my opinion, just priceless. Let me read you the headline first. Reporter on CBC here, Mark Carney, simply said, "Not on the table." Carney said, as U.S. bent on changing dairy rules. The dialogue between our two countries has changed tremendously since those early days when we were under threat and really weren't sure of ourselves, I guess, and what was going to happen. Our Prime Minister has taken a much firmer stance now. He simply said, no, supply management is not on the table. It's not on the table. Not going to happen. And after that, some reporters asked him about this issue during a press conference. He and Doug Ford were having a press conference announcing a new agreement between the federal government and the Ontario government on the Ring of Fire projects and accelerating approvals. Actually, the federal government stepping away and letting Ontario do the approvals on their own to speed up the projects in the Ring of Fire. But they were asked about this specific issue. And this is just beautiful. I have to share this with you, okay? Let's watch the first clip where a reporter asked him about the U.S. demands and what his position was.
Of conditions that the U.S. trade rep says Canada has to meet in order to extend CUSMA, including bolstering market access to U.S. dairy and addressing the provincial bans on U.S. alcohol. Does this make you feel more encouraged or discouraged about reaching an agreement? And Premier Ford, if you could weigh in afterwards, please.
Well, I'll put this in the context. These are a subset of issues of a much bigger discussion. We've been clear about our approach to supply management. We continue to stand by that. We'll continue to protect supply management. And we continue to see tremendous benefits, first and foremost for Canada, but very much for the United States. of pooling resources where possible in the auto sector, in the steel sector, in the aluminum sector, in the lumber for forest products. And we will enter those discussions on the review of CUSMA in that spirit. The President and I had a long conversation with President Sheinbaum about this a little under 2 weeks ago, which set out the broad parameters for the review of CUSMA. We'll work closely together with the Government of Ontario, other provinces that are affected by potential adjustments there. And we will always pursue an agreement that is in the interest of Canadian workers, Canadian families, and we'll only sign an agreement that's consistent with that. And I'll give the Premier an opportunity to speak.
And then Doug Ford is asked specifically about alcohol. Are we willing to relax our boycott, basically, on alcohol? And I loved his answer as well. Let's have a listen.
As for alcohol, we've seen wine sales go up 76%. They're having a record year. The grape growers are having a record year. Small, large wineries are having a record year. Distilleries are. And when the Prime Minister and President Trump come up with a great deal for both countries, we'd be more than happy to bring in some maybe Kentucky bourbon. But until then, we're going to hold off.
Well said, Doug Ford. Then a reporter asks Mark Carney, well, what do we want out of this deal? And I really liked his answer as well.
Prime Minister Carney, what is on our list to strengthen CUSMA? Do we have any conditions besides lifting sectoral tariffs?
Well, we have, I would say several things. One, we see value in truly pursuing integration in our auto sector. Building the next generation in the auto sector. We see value in the aerospace sector. We see value to both countries. I'll give you a concrete example with respect to aluminum, which is that in effect, Canadian exports of aluminum to the United States saves the United States the equivalent of 10 Hoover dams of electricity. This is just sensible for both countries. But in order for, and there are many other examples of where working together makes the two economies, the three economies in the case of CUSMA, stronger. But in order for the United States to have those advantages, we need secure market access, and we need stable market access, a return to a degree of certainty. So we need a structure that aligns the incentives across both sides of the border, particularly on the American side, that will provide consistency of that market access. There are many, many opportunities to grow our economies together, and I haven't touched yet on emerging strategic sectors, critical minerals. We're talking about the Ring of Fire today. That is an opportunity first and foremost for the people of Ontario, including Indigenous peoples resident in Ontario. It's an opportunity for Canada. It's a potential opportunity for the United States, but it's not an assured opportunity for the United States. It's part of a bigger discussion in terms of our trading relationship, because we have other partners around the world, in Europe, for example, who are very interested in participating in those value chains. So,
I really like the way he brings facts and information into his answer. He talked about the export of aluminum from Canada to the United States saves the United States the equivalent of 8 Hoover dams. What he's trying to say is aluminum is a very electricity intensive product to make. And if the United States wants to make their own, they will consume a lot of their own energy doing that, energy that they may want to use on other things. So it's beneficial for them to import aluminum from Canada, Quebec having the cheapest and most abundant electricity almost in the world. That's why they're a world-class aluminum producer. If the United States doesn't want it, we'll sell it to someone else. And I love that at the end of his statement there, how he said, we're working on other things too, just signing this deal with Ontario to get the Ring of Fire going, and we're going to have critical minerals to export. The United States may want to benefit from that, but if they choose not to, we have a lot of friends all over the place that really would want those things. So we're going to go into those CUSMA negotiations with a very high degree of confidence that, hey, we'll do a deal if we can do a good deal, but if we can't, we're working on making deals with everyone else on Earth. But now I have to show you something that's a little bit comical, because a reporter took the initiative to ask about the Doug Ford ad involving Ronald Reagan that was played during the World Series in the United States, which caused the Americans to halt trade negotiations, Mark Carney being close to a deal. First, let's watch Mark Carney answer the question, and he will give us a course on how to not throw someone under the bus. And in fact, he just takes it in stride and says, well, this is the situation now, and this is what we must do going forward.
That if Premier Ford had not launched that ad in the United States, that sectoral tariffs would be lower right now?
It was the case that we were close to an agreement. We didn't get that agreement. The terms of that agreement, from our perspective, are still on the table. The U.S. has not picked up that part of the negotiation. An agreement that would benefit, first and foremost, Canadian workers in steel, aluminum, in energy, some other sectors, but would also benefit the United States tremendously. My judgment is that is now going to roll into the broader CUSMA negotiations. So we're unlikely, given the time horizons coming together, to have a sectoral agreement. Although, if the United States wants to come back on that in those areas, we're always ready there. We're very ready. And I'll make one other point, head back. We are very ready on forest products to strike an agreement. And the United States has affordability challenges, including in the housing sector and the forest product sector, and we can make an immediate difference to affordability in the United States, to the benefit, yes, of Canadian workers, but also to American consumers.
Now let's watch Doug Ford answer the question, and while you do that, watch Mark Carney's face closely. He has a little bit of a tell when someone else is speaking that he may not agree with, or when that person says something stupid, as happened in the Oval Office many times when he was visiting the United States. When the idiot started talking, he kind of made that similar sort of face numerous occasions, but he does it here. It's hilarious. Let's watch this.
Well, number one, that was the best ad that's ever been run, 12.4 billion views. We wanted to bring it to the attention of the American people. And be very frank, it was President Trump. If he didn't comment on it, rather than 12.4 billion views, it might be 12.4 people viewing it. But in saying that, our intention was to bring it to the attention of the American people through the greatest president that ever lived. That was Ronald Reagan. Protectionism does not work. Simple as that. So it was a great ad.
Just to follow up, Premier, since you're there, I mean, Prime Minister Carney kind of made a face when you said it was the greatest ad ever.
It was.
You know what? I think these two make a good
I'll
team.
maybe get
You've
him
got
to
the
weigh on
calm,
that as well. But
educated,
by not
smart
backing down, are you
economist
putting
and businessman
your
who has all the ideas. And then you have the bulldog ready to rush in and fight. The two of them together, I think, work pretty well. But hey, United States, if you want to have a CUSMA fight, and all you got is, hey, we want to sell you more eggs and more milk, and we want you guys to start buying our alcohol, maybe you should throw in there, we want you to come down here and visit more often. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're ready. Because you know what? You're going to lose on every single one of those. And if you don't want our minerals and our resources and the abundant things that Canada has, we can offer them to anyone in the world. And that's why we have to stay the course. We have to expand our trade relationships with everyone on Earth. We have to get different supply chains ready, expand the port of Montreal, expand the port in Vancouver, build and expand the port in Churchill, Manitoba, increase capacity of our freight and airlines, build LNG pipelines to the West Coast to ship our natural gas to Asia, potentially build another oil pipeline to the West Coast to sell some of our oil to other countries. All of that together to make Canada able to just, United States, is that what you want? No, it's not on the table. To just do what we want and forget about just concentrating on the United States. It will make us a stronger country. And for those of you who think it's not possible, oh, how could we do that? There's oceans in the way. Well, I'll give you a one-word answer. Australia. Australia is an island. Everything that Australia trades, everything, every minute little thing, either comes by air or by water. And Australia is a beautiful, successful country. Australia exports more liquefied natural gas than Canada does right now. Australia trades with all the countries in the Indo-Pacific. They're the most isolated country in the world, and they trade. They rely on trade. Canada can do it. We have the United States kind of in our hip pocket. If they want to buy our stuff, fine. It's easy to sell the stuff there. We can just drive it there. If they want to do it fairly, and as Mark Carney said, with a degree of certainty, so that the market is certain, without a buffoon in charge that with a stroke of a pen can upend all sorts of deals. If they want to do it respectfully, fine. But if they don't, there are many, many other options, and I'm actually looking forward to the CUSMA renegotiation, and I'm cautiously optimistic because I see that we have smart, steady leadership, and our leadership, our federal leadership, is working very closely with the provinces now. In that case that we just saw with the Premier of Ontario, but all the provincial leaders. So I think we're in good hands, and I think next year it'll be hard. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be some inflammatory rhetoric, and there's going to be some threats, and there's going to be some escalations. But in order to handle those, and the best way to handle those is to have someone who's calm and relaxed and just knows how to reevaluate and how to keep moving forward. Just like when Doug Ford posted that ad, and we were just ready to make a deal on, and you remember what the deal was? It was to revive the Keystone XL pipeline as a gift for the Americans to lower tariffs on steel and aluminum and potentially forestry. That deal was close. The Ontario government aired that ad. The United States decided to stop all negotiations and cancel that deal. And we don't have a prime minister who's going to freak out and blame everyone and throw Doug Ford under the bus because he's conservative and launch into inflammatory rhetoric. No, we've got a calm prime minister that says, okay, that was a missed opportunity. I can work together now with Doug Ford. And that deal that we were close to, well, it could still happen in the future as part of the overall negotiations with CUSMA. He's just calm and collected and just keeps moving forward. And that's how you have to do it. Thanks for watching my video, everyone. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel to keep the numbers growing. If you want to support my work on a monthly basis, consider becoming a channel member by clicking the join button below. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everyone, and I'll catch you all on the next one.